What's good, gamers? Good morning. Welcome to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
As always, I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself, Chris?
Hey, it's Louis Vuitton. Top 4 Gucci. We got a great show for everybody, my man. But hey, we always like to start off the show with goofy content, right? What's ever in the week that's going viral. And I got to ask you right at the top of the show, HenricK, like, when you think about how many hours you play video games in a week, what do you think that total number is?
Oh, well, you see, I am the kind of person who stays up until like 4 in the morning most days of the week, just playing games or, working on something, but usually playing games. So I probably would say close to 20 hours, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's being a little fair. I think probably close to almost 30, right? I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, when it's the middle of the week and I'm grinding, I mean, just like, I don't know about you, but sometimes there's like no good television on or film. Maybe that's because of the Writers Guild of America on strike and there's just not a lot of good stuff. So video games have been a great outlet. So I've been playing a lot of games, but there has been a video that's been circulating online that's kind of like questioning how many hours of video games is probably accessible and whether you have a problem or not. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Yo, you thought you were addicted to your phone, right? Yo, this dude's average 15 hours a day. How much in the past week?
76 hours of my.
Oh my.
So HenricK, if you said you play 20 hours in a week, that kid's playing 15 hours in one day.
Hey, that's the dream. Not having to go to work, just being able to be at home, playing a game. He's living the life.
Yeah, why hate? I mean, I guess it is summertime after all. Maybe if this was recorded during the school year, yeah, we might have a problem. But obviously, the comments were very active when it came to this video. One person said 76 hours of Minecraft. Kind of making fun of the kid for slurring a bit. Second goes, nah, mate, that is actually worrying. Room looked like shit. Damn shame they let him sit on that game that long. And last, there's 168 hours in a week. What do you even do on Minecraft for 76 hours? I played like 40 hours total and would never play it again. Is that the kind of game that you would play for? You said 20 hours. Is Minecraft that style of game for you?
You know what? Minecraft is one of those games that you could do whatever you want. So you could go actually, try to beat the game, or you could just go and, get some materials to actually build something. So I don't know. That guy in that comment is a hater because clearly they just don't play the game because they don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm not necessarily a Minecraft guy, but I can understand like why people want to continuously keep playing the same game over and over again. That's how I feel when I play Fortnite. Listen, I know I love my toddler games, and Fortnite's one of those games where there's always an incentive for in-game rewards. So if you want to keep the grind and you want to get the new cosmetics or the V-Bucks, you know the drill, fam. But you know what's been great for a lot of men, HenricK, is that the PlayStation 5 has just recently came up with a new patch note, and one of them is actually muting or lowering down the volume of the beep startup. Have you heard about any of this?
I haven't heard about that, no.
So, people are starting to get a bit creative because there's a lot of videos back then of certain situations like this. I think we've all been there. Exactly. Like, I don't know about you. It's like when you're trying to get some sleep, it's super late at night, but obviously, like you said earlier, I'd be grinding until 4 a.m. playing video games. Do you have that similar situation when it comes to your roommates or anything?
No, yeah, I mean, I stay up till 4, but a lot of the people that I hang out with also stay up until 4, so it's a mutual respect sort of thing at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to have a man cave, which is my garage, separated from the house, so I can be making all the noise I want, or at least I think I can. But the comments were very active during this video. One person wrote, "It's a woman's job to quickly identify the moment her man having a good time and put a stop to that nonsense.
Oh.
Is that really the case? I'm shocked that there's over 619 likes. Are you not the dominant form in your relationship? I don't know. Maybe you need to get your priorities checked. He said he turned on his wife. With a funny meme, we run this whole thing from this game controller. And last, some women hate men having fun. She's faster than the PS5 to turn on. You know, sometimes.
Like I said, she was like, "How dare you? We're supposed to be sleeping right now."
I like how the kid's not phased. Maybe he was born a gamer after all and never got his mama's
It's in his blood.
It's in his blood. Well, you know, people are using video games in very creative ways. And, you know, it's not the school year yet. It is the summer heat going on with the season. So with that being said, you know, there are clips going around because some kids got to go back to school in the month of August. You know, I think towards the end of the month, I believe. Man, when I was in school, I didn't go back until like September time. So it kind of feels like a sin. I don't know about you, Henry.
No, definitely. Like August rolled around and I'm like, I still got plenty of time. It really wasn't until September. But then, you know, now it's like, oh man, August. Oh, I got to get whatever else I need to get done now before the time runs out.
But it's like longer the days of like doing like, remember like the PowerPoints with the glass and would magnify up on the projector. And then as things upgraded from the Windows 98, Windows XP, now we're on Windows 11. And now, you know, teachers are not necessarily utilizing film or television or even books to teach a history course. They're actually using video games. And do you have an idea about maybe the video game that's being used?
Probably Minecraft, considering there's an educational edition.
You're hilarious on that one. I think you're trolling me right there. But hey, gamers, check out the game that's being used in history classes, at least in this one particular classroom.
This is where the Battle of Thermopylae took place, where 6,000 Greeks, led by 300 Spartans, stopped 300,000 Persians.
And we were playing that video, and you started giggling. You started giggling. Why are you giggling?
Because that's like a fantasized version of historical events. What's going on there in class right now?
All I know is the comments were very active when it came to that viral video circulating online. One person wrote here, "Smart man, that game low-key, a history lesson." Another person wrote, "I'll never forget Assassin's Creed 3 came out during my 7th grade year in middle school, and as y'all know, it takes place during the American Revolution, and during the 7th grade, we are required to take American history throughout the year, and I'll always remember learning about certain subjects and events and then getting to play them in the game. It was so cool how accurate some things were." And last, that's because there's literally an education mode where different characters can give you information-loaded tour of Greece. So is that the pun that you were trying to get at, HenricK?
I mean, all right, sure. You can definitely learn about the history of the world through these games because they do try to be a little accurate, but I don't think that there was a guy running around assassinating people. So,
well, okay, you're taking it a little too literal. They're talking about the landscape, the scope of things. I guess Assassin's Creed has like a DLC where you can literally do what one of the comments were saying. There is an educational mode where, you know, it's a video game, guys. It's going to be kind of compressed down, the landscape. But obviously, they're built upon, you know, ideas that are in real life. So, kind of a cool idea. It's a different approach to try to hook in the kids because, you know, we joked last week, you know, there's not a lot of professors at the college level that like you bringing in your laptop into the classroom. So any kind of way to try to bring your eyeballs in, I think it's kind of a cool idea. But HenricK,
hey, if I got assigned to go play Assassin's Creed for history class, I'd be down with that.
See? Fair game, right? Fair game. But, you know, there was a very funny video that you actually sent me. And anybody that's been watching this show knows that usually I come up with the intro just so I can kind of surprise HenricK in the moment because his reactions are golden. But this time, you surprised me with this real-life gaming emulator, simulator. I don't know what the hell this thing is. I knew your gaming desk was missing something, HenricK.
No, exactly. It is missing that. Like, that is an immersive experience. You know, forget the VR headsets. I want one of these.
Yeah, take the pound, baby. Take the pound. And, you know, comments were very funny when it came to this video. One person wrote, "You thought about it, too." The second comment goes, "Don't let your girl see that. Netflix, are you still watching? Someone's daughter." And last, laughing my ass off. My mind went straight to the gutter. Is he shooting or is he getting shot? I am not sure. I mean, that sniper shot, I mean, I don't mess around with guns. I'm not a big gun fanatic, but is the recoil really like that when you shoot a sniper rifle?
You know, the times that I have been to a gun range, I haven't shot a sniper rifle, but I've shot a shotgun, and man, does that kick.
Yeah, you know, you ain't lying about that. So, you know, do it for what you will. But hey, if you are that inspiring gamer that wants to update your, you know, your gaming desk, hey, just follow HenricK, man. He's got you. He's got all these amazing content he's constantly sending my way. But we really got to start setting the tone, right, HenricK? We got an amazing show for everybody that's tuning in live. So we appreciate y'all. And we just want to remind you guys, whether you're tuning in from HenricK's YouTube channel or Twitch or the Chris Collins Show, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss a live show. And comment live during the show. We love to hear from you guys. If there's anything that's jiving with you or not jiving, hey, your comment can be featured live on the show. But we might as well set the tone. You ready to rock and roll, HenricK?
You know it. Let's do it.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is the latest release in the legendary fighting game series. It is a series that needs little introduction, as most people will have played one of the games at some point. If you haven't, you've at least heard about it due to the cultural impact of the series. The sixth release brings Street Fighter back to the top of the food chain. But how does the gameplay stack up? Let's get into that now. The gameplay of Street Fighter 6 is going to be very familiar for longtime fans. Your goal is, of course, to knock your opponent's health bar down to 0 before they do that to you. In order to do so, you'll have to learn combos specific to each character. There is also a drive gauge mechanic, which lets you use more powerful techniques at the cost of this resource. There are also super abilities. Supers are, as you can imagine, a way to deal great damage, and each have their own cinematic attached to them. They are specific to each character, and each have different effects, ranging from adding damage to your attacks or dealing out damage directly. The gameplay is fast-paced and keeps you on your toes throughout each round against your opponents, as the tides can be turned at any point. Now you might be wondering, is there a story to go alongside this? There is in fact a story to the game. There is a story mode called World Tour, which uses a player-made character to have you travel the world and meet the characters of the game to learn from them. Be prepared to fight a lot, including against random people on the street, just like the name of the game. There is also a story to be had in the arcade mode, specific to whichever character you play through it as. Each mode is a drastically different way to experience a story. In short, Street Fighter 6 offers plenty of content to do, whether it be by yourself or against friends or online. But now the question still stands: pause or repeat?
Do I really need an introduction for this game? I don't think I do, because you can go to any arcade anywhere, and there's at least a Street Fighter machine in there, if anything else. Because that game series, it's so legendary. Like I said in the video, it has such a cultural impact that it shows up in TV series, movies, you know, anything you can think of in terms of entertainment. At some point, it's probably mentioned Street Fighter. And when I got this game, when it came out, I was like, okay, do I get it? And then my friend was like, nah, you gotta get it, you gotta get it. We spent the next 3 hours just going back and forth, you know, fighting each other, you know, trying new characters, seeing how the game played, and it feels really, really good. Like, this game, I've been having so much fun with because it just feels great to play it, whether it be with, your friends or, I didn't even touch the story mode for the longest time because I was just having fun playing the game against other people. But even if you go into the story mode, the story actually is a pretty charming and wholesome experience where you're basically learning from all the characters in the cast. And, it's a little goofy, especially because you can make your own character. And I did make an abomination looking character at first. Then I put another character in, and it's a character from his other game that I put in. I found a little code to put in, but like the character just makes like weird expressions and faces because he doesn't talk, your character.
Right.
So it's just like a little goofy sometimes, but that's the point, like it's not really trying to make it a serious story. It's not taking itself seriously. It's just there to have fun. And I think it really accomplishes that. And I also like how the community has really enjoyed this game because I've seen such great clips from like tournaments and just, people playing online, and people are just having fun with it. And I love seeing that. I love seeing people have fun with a game like this. But I'm curious, what do you think about this game, Chris?
I think that's a fascinating point that you brought up right at the top, where you didn't necessarily delve into the story mode aspect, because for myself personally, that was the greatest adaptation for this franchise. It's easily the best installment in Street Fighter. I love the open world aesthetic. It seems like this was called upon a long time ago, and I feel like it sort of gives Mortal Kombat a run for their gems when it comes for them later in the year, because I think people are kind of over the whole 2D 3D fighting kind of look. I mean, obviously we love that with Street Fighter, but you want to branch out beyond the world. I thought the story was a tad dull. I don't think it was necessarily charming, in my opinion, HenricK, but I do think that the new characters are a major plus to this series. And just the fact that you can literally fight an Astro fan, I meant a trash can, or just any kind of random pedestrian in the streets, I think is a very fun feature. And then you can like climb up on like the second story buildings and then use like a flying, spinning kick to like, go to the next balcony over. Those are just like a lot of really cool elements that I'd really like to see all fighter games, like even Injustice, do. I think it's a major plus. But what the question stands, though, HenricK, is this a pause or repeat?
It is a definite repeat for me, considering, I've been on and off playing this ever since it came out, a couple nights here and there, and maybe more than a couple nights in a row even. I think that it's a game that's probably going to be in my repertoire for a long time moving forward.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think it's an instant repeat. It is the best in the franchise. There's a reason there's a lot of hype happening around this game. It's going to be a tough battle for them when it comes to game of the year. But if there's a category for, combat fighting, this is easily up there in the top mix. So, HenricK, it sounds like we're agreeing. Why do we keep agreeing? This is not the whole point of pause or repeat. We're supposed to combat each other. But you know what? Then again, we got to celebrate games that are just kicking ass. And this game literally does. It's fun for the entire family.
Yeah, and it's, I think, interesting as the one last point that, this series basically has been now revived, and Mortal Kombat's right around the corner. And then also Tekken 8 is right around the corner. So now there's real competition in this genre. And I think they're all trying to, grab attention span from, all kinds of people. So I'm interested to see what happens when all three of the games are out. Which one is the one that people are going to gravitate to the most? I think it's going to be Street Fighter, but we'll have to, because the other two look also really good.
Well, it's because you get to walk around. You get to immerse into the open world experience. And like you said, you get to make your own character. You get to put abilities and perks on top of it. It's about time. That's how I feel. Yeah. It's about time that they finally started implementing this kind of stuff. And that's why I'd like to see Mortal Kombat and Injustice. So guys, gaming developers, even the indie game ones, take notes. This is an amazing feature that's now here, alive and active in the year 2023.
Absolutely. I mean, you want to put yourself in the game, now you can do it.
Hey, it is so true. So you heard it from us. It is a definite repeat. But hey, stick around, gamers, because we got so much more left here on Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Buckle up, gamers, because the month of August is going to be jammed packed. We got an amazing, strong lineup to kick off, and one of the biggest hyped games is Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. Players will assemble and pilot their own mech with 3D maneuverability to move freely through three-dimensional, fast-paced missions. Take on difficult challenges and overwhelm your enemies with dynamic movements that make full use of ranged and melee combat. Players can enjoy a variety of actions that can only be truly realized with mechs.
One of the infamous handler Walter's hounds. Interesting. You ready to climb the wall?
Call sign Raven. Priority subject for termination. High on the list.
A coral response from the generator. Watch out!
Why hide behind another's call sign?
HenricK, you got to lead the charge, because I've been hearing you, it almost seems like the entire year, that this game has been on your watch list. Why is this game like the game that we should all be scoping in the month of August?
Well, this series hasn't been touched since probably 2012, I think it was. And it's, from the same creators as Elden Ring and Dark Souls, except it's not one of those games. It's a different game genre entirely. So don't go into it thinking like it's a Souls-like game, because it's not. But I think that it's just going to be a really great experience. And honestly, it came out of nowhere, honestly. I think so many people were surprised that they were even going back to it, but also excited because it's like, From Software has been cranking out these Souls-like games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring for so long now, and now they get to do something different. And it's just, I think it's exciting, to see what they're going to come up with. And the gameplay I have seen so far has looked phenomenal. It's going to be a game that I definitely play when it comes out, and you guys will know whether I like it or not, but I think I'll like it.
I have a feeling you'll probably like it too. I saw a report last week where Hasbro has really been bugging Microsoft, because now that they acquired Activision, they're like, dude, could you please bring back the Transformers game from back in the day? This is what this kind of gameplay reminds me, and what the potential could be if there was a new Transformer video game. Because I don't know about you, I saw the most recent film out this summer, and it was really, really cool. But even going back to Armored Core 6, I mean, it's definitely electrifying. I think the graphics are super updated. It doesn't feel lackadaisical. And I know people were very active in the comments when it came to this particular video game. So let me go ahead and showcase that here for you guys. One person wrote, that moment where they pushed the Gatling gun deeper. I really felt that. FromSoft are really going to make us cry about robots, aren't they? Another person wrote, here's the deal, FromSoft. You keep releasing amazing games without microtransactions, with depth and difficulty and excitement and beauty and misery. And I'll keep pre-ordering your games, deluxe editions and all. You are the only developer team I'll still do this for on a regular basis. You guys are great, and I appreciate you. And last, attention to detail in both visuals and sound design is incredible. The Gatling gun being pushed to a point of the metal melting down, the clang and clashing of heavy parts flying around provides a sense of weight to everything. I wish they'd make entire movies like this. Oh, so it sounds like someone watched Secret Invasion from Marvel. What a terrible ending, but isn't that the truth?
No,
I
really, I think that Marvel needs to rethink what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe they can learn a lesson from a few of these video game developers because, again, Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon will be released on August 25th via the PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS. And responding to an unusual alarm call from a remote mining base, Jack arrives at the dark and desolate Fort Solis. With storm warnings imminent, he heads inside to make a desperate contact. And as the night grows longer, events escalate, spiral out of control, and the mystery of what happened to the crew begins to reveal itself. The storm is approaching, limiting Jack's escape as he looks to hold out until morning arrives. If you haven't seen this game, HenricK the Wreck and I, we got that first look for you.
Is everything okay over there?
Be careful. I think something is off here.
Just how many people are in Solace?
The system lists 6.
There's an incident here.
An incident? What kind of incident?
I don't know.
Well, what the hell is going on there?
Someone was down there with me. I'm heading back up to the surface level now.
You need to get out of there now!
I'm still in here!
Jack!
I'm still in here! It looks pretty cool. I mean, the graphics look very cinematic in my opinion. But before I even jump into what you think, HenricK, I think it's important to lead with the comments because people were sort of 50-50 about this game, even though, the very popular voiceover actor, you might have known him as Joel Miller in The Last of Us. Well, that leading role is Troy Baker. And I don't know. I thought a lot of people would be more jazzed about him returning to a new IP. But let's read the comments. One person wrote, "We shall support the man that has brought us Arthur Morgan." Yeah, I mean, that's a very
redemption. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Exactly. So people are obviously very high about the expectations of what the story can be brought to this video game. But then you get comments like, "This is like watching an Unreal Engine 5 showcase for a game, giving us pretty much nothing. If you told me this was alpha gameplay of the Callisto Protocol, I'd believe you." And then last, yeah, I know, but on a level, that comment's so true. And then, to be honest, it looks so amazing and so boring at the same time. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's The Quarry, because obviously you get to kind of pick your destination as you go with the dialogue, but it kind of does, even with a lot of the teaser gameplay, it kind of remind me of that like slow pace action. Is this something that you're jiving about, HenricK, in the month of August?
It wasn't on my radar until you mentioned it just the other day. But, when I was looking into it, it actually does seem like it's going to be an interesting one for sure, based on just the fact that, I like horror. I love horror movies. And this really seems like, if it's not a horror, it's like a thriller maybe. But I think they're going definitely for like the horror spin on a story in the entire game. I mean, we even saw some gruesome scenes in that trailer that he finds. So something's on that installation, just hunting him essentially. Though I don't think this is going to be a survival game, so like a survival horror. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen and how people perceive this one. Because what I'm getting at least is that it's going to be just like an interactive story. And less of like a survival horror game. But
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be like
maybe
a
they
Dead
might surprise
Space.
us.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be like Dead Space.
I was kind of getting like that same atmospheric vibe, but without the action of like having to kill aliens and things like that.
But maybe that's the cool element about showcasing these gameplay teasers or even the story trailers, because this game was actually first introduced during the PlayStation Showcase, not this year, but last year. So people have sort of forgot that Troy Baker's been working on this new IP, but Hey, listen, gamers, if Fort Solis is the game for you, it will be releasing on August 22nd on the PC and the PS5. Well, this game, I think, is going to be loved by all gamers of all sizes, if you know what I mean, from the toddlers all the way to the adults. And Team Reptile brings you Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, a future world from the mind of Dion Coster, where self-styled graffiti crews equipped with personal boost packs are battling each other for control of the streets. Start your own cipher and dance, paint graffiti, collect beats, combo your tricks, and face off with the cops to stake your claim to the spiraling metropolis of New Amsterdam. This game is very, very cool. So let's go ahead and take a look.
We got the strategy, do it all night, do it all day, no wasting time. We got the crew, get ready for the ride. We got them moves, got them vibes. We got the strategy, do it all night, do it all day, no wasting time. We got the crew, get ready for the ride. Yo, cuz, what you living like? Big G's, big city like.
I love a video game with a badass soundtrack, and you can already tell within 45 seconds that this game is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know about you, HenricK, but everybody's been waiting for like the Skate series to come back, but like this is like, in my personal opinion, a way cooler element that's very vibrant in colors. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I kind of was sleeping on this, but now that it's getting closer to finally being released, this might be pretty freaking dope.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned the soundtrack, because this is like a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio, which I believe was originally a Dreamcast game. And I was that guy growing up who had a Dreamcast, considering that console was dead. Most people didn't have one. But, I enjoyed playing Jet Set Radio on that. And when I saw that they were making this game, as a spiritual successor to that, I'm like, oh, really? Like, that's interesting. And to bring up the soundtrack, Jet Set Radio had a badass soundtrack, and so this one has to have a great soundtrack as well. And I'm sure it's going to. So I think they'll live up to the expectations of the people who have played Jet Set Radio.
I love games like this too, because it gets to introduce you to a wide variety of artists that are not maybe necessarily in the mainstream. So I think, with video games like this, it really branches out, the window for genres of music to be explored by a multitude of gamers. And I think that's why, Tony Hawk Pro Skater is being celebrated so long. I mean, there's literally a cover band that's all they do is play the soundtrack to Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I mean, and there's
a great soundtrack. So
yeah, and there's a lot of bands out there that really thank Tony Hawk for contributing and allowing them to be a part of that world. I know even Yellow Card had an amazing story while they were in the recording studio working on Ocean Avenue. They were approached by the studio company Activision at the time to have their song that was not even ready yet to be featured inside the video game, and look what that brought Yellow Card after almost 20 plus years in the game. It's an incredible story, and I know people are very, very amped up for this game. One person wrote, "Y'all have no idea how hyped I am for this. Easily my most anticipated game of 2023. This is going to be the best indie game of this year." And last, oh yeah, I can feel the love and passion that went into this game. Can't wait to play it. And, I'm always kind of ragging sometimes on Nintendo. It's like, come on, man. Come on. We need to be a little bit more vibrant. How can we be like pushing the forefront to get in the front? Well, this game is going to be dropping on the Nintendo Switch and PC. And then 2 weeks from now, you could be able to buy it on September 1st on the Xbox and the PlayStation. But the release date for Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is August 18th. So gamers, keep this on your list, because I I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like this is a major sleeper right now. And I'm kind of glad I saw yesterday IGN was sort of starting to give them some love, with some written publications. So, hey, gamers, put this on your wish list. You're going to want to play this game on day one.
It deserves the attention for sure.
Yeah. For sure. So, but HenricK, let's move on to the next topic. What's going on with this new study coming out?
Yeah, so the company Buffalo 7, they came out with a study. They quizzed 1,158 respondents on whether video games have better stories than television or film, which is interesting in itself because, we've seen so many adaptations already in even just this year. And of those 1,158, a huge 67% of them said that they thought that video games have better stories than both film and television.
Wow.
What? Where is that public perception when, all the hate was going towards like The Last of Us and all that? So
well, no, I think what the report's essentially saying is playing video games and the stories implemented in video games are way better than a limited series or a seasonal show or even a cinematic release. 7 out of 10. That's a large number. And I know, sometimes with these polls, they get kind of iffy, especially when you say 1,158 respondents. But do you agree with this assessment, HenricK?
I actually do, because I think that there's so many different types of stories for all kinds of people in video games. But also the stories that I really like are, I would say, better than anything I've seen in film and television, for sure. Partly because I feel like film and television kind of like they've now cemented the formula for what is actually going to be made for those mediums. Whereas, with video games, it's an open field. You can do whatever you want sometimes and just get away with it. And if people like it, great. There you go.
I think that's a great point. And there was a lot of comments around this new study that were circulating all across the web. And a lot of people had amazing points. So let's go ahead and share that with all y'all gamers that are tuning in. One person wrote, having 30 to 40 plus hours to tell a story is much different than having 2 to 8 hours. And of course, because when you can give the consumer 20 to 100 hours of content, story, character building, and build up to a conclusion, it can all hit on point and be that much better. No movie or series can compare to Red Dead Redemption 2, bro. I don't know. It's a great game, but why? I don't know. I always think it's discussed like way too much. Number 3, the fact that you play as the character deepens the emotional connection. It's a fine blend of your own doing and a predetermined path. So with that being said, do they have a point? I mean, is that the main reason, because you consume yourself in hours and hours and hours on end on one game, that's how you strengthen your relationship with the story arc?
No, I definitely agree with that comment because, when you go to a movie theater and you're sitting down to enjoy a movie, the whole point of that experience of going to some place that isn't your house and sitting in a dark room, watching on a big screen is to immerse yourself into that movie and that universe that the movie has created for that, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long. With a video game, a lot of them kind of try to do the same thing where, even though you're probably at home, not like at a movie theater or something, you are sitting in front of whether your TV or your computer monitor, and you're trying to immerse yourself into this game's universe. And I feel like a lot of games are able to do that. Like anytime I play a game like Skyrim or like an RPG game, like even Cyberpunk 2077, I sit in front of the game and I play it for a couple of hours and completely forget that I'm even in the real world because I'm just like, I'm immersed in this other universe that's being presented to me. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm interacting with it,
Yeah.
Like even though I'm not in a dark room, I'm interacting with it. So there's more of that connection.
Yeah, I think especially when you got your handheld device or whether you're smacking your keys with your fingers on your PC. Yeah, there definitely is that aesthetic that comes to strengthening that relationship with that character. And even in that same survey, Buffalo 7 also aimed to find the greatest stories told in video games using all sorts of data, including Google Hits, YouTube videos, review articles, and more. And with these results, taking the top spot is The Last of Us, which I know HenricK had a lot to say about that video game last week, followed by God of War, which I was kind of surprised. But then again, it's an amazing franchise that's lived on for almost 5 to 6 games, and Red Dead Redemption 2 coming in second and third. So
you just said that it's talked about too much.
I do. I really do. I think it's, I get it. The guy dies and you know, there's all these like trolling videos where they're like, there's no Frank Ocean, you know, he doesn't make me cry when I listen to his music, but when I play, it's like, dude, okay. Come on. Like the second half of the game is incredibly boring in my opinion, with all that open world desert aesthetic where they could have done so much more revisiting the old towns from the first game. Personally, with me, it fell flat. That's just my personal opinion. But I'm curious. I have a top 3. I'm just saying, this is my personal opinion. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack from a lot of gamers right now, but hey, comment live during the show. We'll showcase, you know, your comments live on air.
Yeah. Go ahead. Flame him right now. Flame him.
Shame. But I have a top 3.
On that note, you know, what is your favorite top 3?
I will. I'll let you know, because I had to really think about this, and some of these are like my all-time favorite video games. There's a lot to choose from, but you know, sometimes not all the best stories come from open world. They can be linear too. And I love the Uncharted series. I think, you know, for like the pure expression of what Uncharted's all about, it's easily the second installment. But for me, I really thought the final chapter of Nathan Drake's Uncharted 4 Among Thieves really does deliver some of the best storytelling in video games. I mean, there's a reason why they grabbed Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, even though I hate that casting choice. Oh God!
You don't like Marky Mark?
No, not at all. He looks nothing like Sully, and Tom Holland really looks like the young Nathan Drake. But does he look like my adult Nathan Drake? Hell to the nah, fam. But if I had to go with my second choice, I'm gonna go with Batman Arkham Knight. I really loved when Batman Arkham Asylum first came out. With Mark Hamill reprising his role as the Joker is so freaking iconic. And if you've never played that game, you have plenty of time to go and revisit that, because with the pushback with Gotham Knights, there's a reason why there was so much flack towards that video game, because it's such a beloved story. You know, it spanned over so many video games or, installments over the years that if you haven't jumped into that culture, oh my gosh, what a ride. It's something that Zack Snyder could never do.
I think that game still holds up, honestly.
It really does, man. If like anybody really wanted to convert that, story aesthetic into a television series or even possibly, even a movie. I mean, I know Joker 2 with Joaquin Phoenix is kind of teasing this Arkham Asylum, but I don't know if they're going to quite hit it the way that, that video game did. You definitely should play it. And then lastly, for me personally, I remember when I first played this game, it has one of the greatest opening scenes that I've ever seen in a video game to date, and that has to be Ghost of Tsushima. I remember my dad walking in on me, and I said, Dad, I'm gonna go back and I gotta show you this opening scene. It is so freaking iconic. And he was just mind boggled at just the graphics and the CGI that these awesome gaming developers and gaming studios are bringing to us in the year, in this decade. I mean, it's such a massive experience, and no one's really quite nailed the samurai culture yet in video games, and that's why Ghost of Tsushima is getting a lot of hype, because there's a reason why the John Wick director is going to be adapting this into a cinematic visual. But, HenricK, have you thought about your top 3?
Oh, of course. My top three is actually vastly different than yours too, which is interesting because my top one, I've definitely mentioned it on the show before.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
That is Nier Automata. So this game, it's a very philosophical story packaged around a great combat system, and they really change it up, between the fact that you're hacking and slashing with swords and all kinds of weapons to then, flying in a like plane and doing like a top down rail shooter sort of thing at some points as well. But what really strikes me as that one being one of the best stories in games is that the whole story, it's very complicated, but to sum it up, it's about the struggle of existence and how, it actually really sucks to exist a lot of times. There's a lot of things in the human experience, and even, if you think about not just human experience, but just like the animal experience, just life in general, a lot of it can really suck. There's a lot of pain and misery and heartbreak and everything. And it goes over all of this in a very intricate way. And because you are playing through it, you have that connection to the characters as they're going through all these things the entire way through the game. And at the end of the game, it really hit me pretty hard.
Hey, don't give it away. Don't give it away.
I'm not going to give it away, but like the last probably hour and a half or so of the game is very emotional, and it all culminates to the very end of the game. I would definitely recommend anyone who hasn't played it to play it, because it is a must play in my opinion. But other than that one, to switch things up heavily, I would definitely say The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask would be up there for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Even though I did
old school
start off playing originally the game before that, which was Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask has a bit of a different entire feel to the game. Like, it's a lot darker. It delves into a lot of deeper, dark topics. Actually, kind of crazy that they were able to get away with it in a rated E 10 and up game, considering like they delve into death and things like that in the game.
It'll probably be like E10 and up nowadays with how the ESRB has updated things.
Yeah, probably. But I think that game, aside from the story, the way that it presents it is once again something that is just, a kid going through all these things, seeing people, and it, considering the time that I played it, I was a kid and I was seeing, the world was kind of like, my perception of it was changing. So when I look back on it, maybe a little bit of it is the nostalgia, but I was kind of like, I was understanding a little bit on Link's perspective of the world at that point and how it was changing as he was going through the game, because he was experiencing all these things around him that, maybe he wasn't even really prepared to experience, even though he is a silent protagonist. I
do think, I don't mean to cut you off, but I do think this is very fascinating that you chose Zelda, because that was one of the big conversations about, remember early in the year, we discussed this rumor that ended up not being true, but, Zelda was possibly having talks with Insomniac to develop a story. And a lot of people, felt like, man, that'd be really difficult, because when you think about, Link, for example, when does he ever speak? Never. So some people felt like, with films like Coda, which have proven that you can get deaf actors and actresses to develop really breathtaking, charming films. So this film really worked with you without even saying a single word?
I think it would have, honestly. Like when we were, discussing that, and I was thinking about it the entire time, beforehand and afterwards, was talking about it with friends and everything. And I was thinking, how would they make it work? And I think they definitely could. It's not easy. It's definitely not, considering, especially when you compare that to how well the Mario movie did. He's a talking protagonist is the thing.
Right.
Well, then again, though, think about it this way. In the games, all Mario really does is Yahoo! That's all
I'm saying is, if they're looking for a voiceover actor for Link, they can hire me. I can say all the lines you want.
There you
know
go.
what I'm saying? Like, there is no lines. But when it comes to your third game, though, HenricK, like, what is that game?
So for the third, I would definitely have to go with Metal Gear Solid 3. Because out of all the Metal Gear Solid games, that is my favorite. And I think that the way that it tells it almost kind of is, like a movie to begin with. But that's because Hideo Kojima, the way he directs a lot of the Metal Gear Solid games is he directs them almost like a movie. And this one in particular took a lot of inspiration from the old classic Bond films, even with the amazing intro cinematic of I forget the artist's name off the top of my head right now, but she sings this amazing song called Snake Eater, which is the title of the game. And it's entirely just a Bond film intro when you really look at it and compare it to any Bond film intro. But the game itself, like, it's just another wacky Metal Gear Solid game, but it's the prequel to all the other stories of the game, and they handled it really, really well, even with all the wackiness going on.
Well, it got a large reception when it got announced that it was one of the games that it's actually going to be remastered, even though I'm not kind of the favorite right now when it comes to like remastered games. I kind of wish, we would support new writers and new IP, but
I agree.
Then again, there are a large, gaming audience who have not experienced, these style of games. And so you will be lucky to have that opportunity. But you know what? I got to say this last point for you, HenricK, because I'm curious on what your thoughts are, because respondents to the study were also asked exactly what games they consider to have the most memorable stories. The Last of Us taking the top spot with 47%, followed by The Witcher 3 with 30%. 5%. When I was a kid growing up, it felt like the most memorable maybe was the Halo 3 ending.
You know what? I was thinking, when I was thinking on my list, I was thinking of the original Halo trilogy because I do have such fond memories of that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that Halo 3's ending was as good as Halo 2's story as a whole.
True. I guess I'm talking more memorable scenes, and that's true, because if I thought of memorable scenes, obviously The Last of Us Part 2, like right in the beginning of the game, within the first hour, you're like, really? The guy that we all bought the video game
don't spoil it for the people who haven't seen it.
I won't, but it's like, man, and that's why people get so frustrated. But in other news, similar to the industry talk, what's going on, HenricK?
So Dan Houser, he was lead writer for the Rockstar games, really worked on them a lot. He has his own media company called Absurd Ventures that he formed, and he actually started to work on that and put things together. And didn't he just sign something, Chris?
Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Dan Houser, he is the man who was previously the co-founder, the creative director, and lead writer for Rockstar Games. He is the one that worked on popular franchises such as Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and Bully. And so now you got this powerhouse in the video game scene, Dan Houser, starting up his own company called Absurd Ventures, which is now partnering up with Range Media, which I thought was very, very fascinating point to bring up, considering how Hollywood currently is on strike with the Writers Guild of America and also the Screen Actors Guild. So even though you might think that Hollywood's paused, it's not. It's still working in real time. And this is just proven again that, Hollywood's starting to recognize that a lot of these gaming developers and a lot of these video game studio companies can easily implement amazing storytelling in the cinematic visual medium. And I think that's really, really cool. And we might as well jump into the next topic, because the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, known as the ESRB, is blasting recent reports that suggest the organization is planning to use facial recognition tech on children, adding that it has no intention of using the technology to take or store selfies of its users. In a heated statement sent to IGN, an ESRB spokesperson clarified that the tech is not intended to stop children from purchasing or downloading restricted content. And we have the email for you guys that the ESRB provided for IGN. So I'm going to showcase that live on screen. And first and foremost, this application is not to authorize the use of this technology with children. Full stop. Nor does this software take and store selfies of users or attempt to confirm the identity of users, the ESRB told IGN in an email. Furthermore, this application makes no mention of using age estimation to prevent children from purchasing and or downloading restrictively rated video games, nor do we intend to recommend its use in that way. So who's the bad journalist? Like, why is this even being spilled out? I know ESRB has even filed this kind of movement with the FTC, but where do you see this as potentially happening at one point in the video game world?
I mean, facial recognition is one of those technologies that, year over year just keeps getting better and better. I've seen plenty of people even been able to do like DIY security systems at home with a Raspberry Pi and, connecting a camera to it and using facial recognition software to recognize, oh, okay, that's someone who's on the whitelist for walking into the area here. And, if they're not on the list of faces that they recognize, then they can like sound an alarm or something. So the technology just keeps getting better, and that's at a consumer level. Think about, how it's going to be at a government level and at a even enterprise level. So I'm sure that even at those levels is even better than a consumer level. And I think that, this is a potential thing that they could be looking at maybe at some point, if not now, in the future. But I think that, is that really necessary? I don't think that's going to fix the problem of kids playing games that they're not supposed to. Like, that's not the solution at all, I think.
Yeah, I know, even though, ESRB is blasting these reports, it didn't stop users online from wanting to comment about the original report. And so the comments here are, what if the kid does this?
Yeah, exactly.
The FBI would like to know your location, young man. The next report says, the end of privacy. Can't even game in peace anymore. People with baby faces not getting to be able to play GTA 6. Oh, that's too funny. Hey, if you are that baby face, it's time to start growing that beard like HenricK the Wreck. And also, we got lastly, this will fail. There's zero chance it's going to be actually implemented. Right? Seriously, though, I don't want you to scanning my child's face. A bit of an overstep, I'd say. And I know that ESRB was claiming that, you would have to, the parent would have to give, consent, whether this would actually be the case. And yeah, they're claiming that they won't store or take selfies of you. But what are they? But you would have to take something, right? If they're going to scan you, and maybe they're hoping to utilize this so they can prevent, we hear numerous stories all the time. Remember we talking about it during season 1 of Rage Quit, where a kid gets a hold of their parents, debit card and starts going on a shopping spree. Maybe the adult that has no idea even how to work a console would love this feature, so then they can keep their pestering kid from, spending all their mucho dinero.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a way to prevent kids from being able to make microtransactions in games like that. But I don't know. I mean, we also have a point here about how a lot of retail stores are calling for a ban on facial recognition use in their retail stores.
This week, Forbes and The Verge, with more than over 35 organizations under the campaign Ban Facial Recognition in Stores, are demanding that top U.S. realtors such as Apple's, Lowe's, Albertsons, Macy's, and Ace Hardware, to name a few, cease using facial recognition.
You're right. That is what it was.
What you meant to say was Walmart, Home Depot, and Target have committed to not using facial recognition technology. But guys, this is literally happening in the moment. This story was just announced like literally 48 hours from this live show. And companies that are even considering bringing facial recognition technology even to their own storefront is McDonald's, Walgreens, and 7-Eleven. And they want to utilize this because, we saw the summer of love. We saw all the riots happening. They want to be able to identify shoppers and employees in their stores, which, companies can, be used to deter theft and identify, shoplifters. And if you don't think this is a reality, well, just kind of look at some of the technology that's just implemented alone in China. When you want to take your kid to school on a school bus, this is what's happening. So yeah, you see that, and I know a lot of people get scared. Do you get scared when you see that kind of stuff?
I mean, it's a different society over there completely, but they do have a lot of things like that. Like I saw recently that there's facial recognition to make sure that people don't jaywalk, and if they do, then they blast their picture and information up on a billboard saying this person jaywalked, flame them basically. But it's crazy because that's definitely like a cyberpunk dystopian kind of thing. It almost feels like where you'd have to scan to get in anywhere essentially.
Yeah, but does this feel far-fetched though? I mean, I know that when I went to high school, we were one of the very few campuses that had no gates surrounding the school. And there's a lot of conversations over the last couple of years about whether there should be an on-duty police officer on campus. And so when I start seeing technology like this, it wouldn't surprise me too much to see that there's gates and facial recognition to allow you in and out, especially considering how they're already trying to utilize this technology with retail stores just to identify who's the employer and who's not. I mean, this would be a freaking amazing tool to use, because I work part-time in a liquor store. Imagine if you could just scan the dude's face and it's like, oh, yep, you're over 21. Or, even before you even walk out, I know there's places in Compton liquor stores where they have to buzz you in and buzz you out. You try to steal a liquor bottle and you get slammed by the door. Would be really freaking funny when it comes to facial recognition. But I know there's a lot of people that are probably on here going, damn, dude, you're really all for this. Well, on a level, it's like you can't run away from it. It's like when I tell people about artificial intelligence, it's here to stay. You might as well embrace it. And one of those things that could be an amazing potential use with the use of facial recognition is this amazing startup company called Transcribe Glass that was circulating across the web this week, where they're using facial recognition to show closed captions from any source on a transparent display in your field of vision. We have that exclusive clip. Check it out. It's really groovy.
I'll let you know when to go.
Okay.
Okay, ready.
Ready?
Ready.
Recording?
Yes.
Cool. So hi, I'm Tom, and this is Transcribe Glass, subtitles for the real world. So using our device, you can actually see captions for everything I say in your field of view in real time, while also getting a good sense of my lips, my environment, and everything else around me. That's Transcribe Glass, designed to help you fully understand the conversation. Thank you.
I mean, you think about the Apple Vision Pro, right? That was one of the biggest complaints that Apple started to develop. Yeah, it's really chunky. It's not going to be you're not going to be walking the streets of Japan or New York or LA wearing that Vision Pro. But it's just
someone's going to try.
Someone's going to try, right? I mean, we do got those funny Twitch and Kick streamers that definitely engage with society. But, there's got to be a point where you're going to be able to see a video screen in your glasses and then even see beyond your field of vision, which is pretty wild. So that's just one of the few examples of great benefits that can happen, but that technology can't be utilized unless you use facial recognition. So that's just the point that I want to leave you gamers. And HenricK, what's going on with the industry talk happening, across the pond. This is a massive, massive move.
Yeah, so Tencent, this company in China, it's a giant company. If you're not familiar with them, they own so many different just companies and games in general. We were actually, Chris and I, kind of surprised at the things that they do own.
Holy moly.
Like you're talking like the size of Facebook or Google, probably even bigger, honestly, considering how many things that they own. Yeah, honestly. But they actually are looking at a lot of other things to invest into, specifically in gaming. We do have a chart of a bunch of things that they own, if we want to put that up.
Yeah,
and as
isn't
you
this
can
just
see,
insane?
This is not even all of it. This is only half.
Yeah, it's so funny that you just said that. I was literally about to be like, this is only half the list, and I will bounce back and forth as we're having this dialogue. But even look at that. Holy moly. 45 gaming studios and gaming developers combined. And some of these are undisclosed.
Yeah, like Roblox and Discord. Discord being the thing that so many people on PC use to just communicate while playing games, or just in general, honestly. It's crazy how many things they own. But they recently were looking at this company called Techland to put in their repertoire alongside Riot Games and Epic Games as well, of being their primary investor in terms of how much money they're putting into it. And Techland, if you're not familiar with what they have developed, they are known for the Dying Light series and the Dead Island series, among a couple others, but those are like their top flagship games that they've really, sold probably the most with. Dead Island being, a game that got a sequel finally this year even. So they're definitely making moves and in terms of buying these companies. But is this a good thing? Like what do you I mean, we have some community comments on what people think about this.
Won't be the last, unfortunately. Microsoft gave everyone the green light to go on a buying sprees. That's an excellent point. I think that's a great point, considering how Tencent, they either own wholly or in part game studios like Riot Games, Epic Games, and many others. So like, it's an amazing point. Also, Tencent is the single biggest cancer in the gaming industry. The amount of power they hold is terrifying. And how come this company doesn't get scrutinized by the FTC and other similar government bodies? That's a great point. Considering how, I had to really look it up, HenricK. It's over 45 gaming studios and gaming developers that they have acquired over time. And so if we're going to have so much distaste towards, the Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard acquisition, why aren't we showing that same animosity when it comes to Tencent?
I think that, there is kind of that going on already and has been for a while, because Tencent does operate with these companies a lot of times, specifically for like their mobile versions. A lot of the time, like PUBG, I believe the mobile PUBG is run by Tencent, for example. And there's been this negative perception of them already because they're very, very invested in making sure that you are paying for these microtransactions in their games, and they really shove it down your throat. But now that they have so many things, that they have their fingers in, you kind of can't go anywhere on playing any game without having something to deal with Tencent, which is really what is crazy as to why, is this a good thing? Because, Microsoft just went through that whole court case because of a monopoly,
right,
having too much power in the industry. But doesn't that mean that Tencent also has too much power in the industry if they are probably at the same level of how many things they have acquired over the years?
It's an excellent point. And yeah, trust me, HenricK the Wreck and I, we understand that Activision Blizzard doesn't hold to the same standard as Techland. Okay? We understand that. But it's the fact that they're buying out the tiny companies as subsidiaries to then eventually become this massive monopoly owned in China, where they're already like the internet and entertainment globalist of the world. I'm just baffled, in my opinion, that it's not being discussed enough. I don't know how much more to say other than, people were really clowning on Microsoft and Activision Blizzard for even being allowed this opportunity, and to even hear Sony not even say anything or not even,
I don't think it's going to be the last that we see companies like Tencent do this, because now there's a precedent, considering now that Microsoft has bought Activision Blizzard. There's a precedent in a legal case of a big company being able to acquire another big company in the gaming industry. So, when you're comparing that to them buying Techland, yeah, sure, they're not at the same, level, but it's going to fly under the radar completely because everyone's looking at the big dogs.
Yeah. I think that's a very, very excellent point. So yeah, hey, we'll keep a lookout on this, but this probably won't stop Tencent anytime soon from acquiring some of your favorite gaming studios, and maybe this might be a benefit. I know Techland CEO was really praising this opportunity and really felt like this would be, leading them to the forefront of much more success in the future. So they will just have to prove everybody wrong. But do you like this move? Do you like to see video game companies kind of get broken apart? Let us know what's good. But we're going to kind of end the show off on a happy note because, animals, including humans, play video games to learn. They are educational systems. Whether I know HenricK was kind of goofing around a little bit at the top of the show. And he's like, man, really, we're using Assassin's Creed in a history course. Like, that's pretty wild. But they teach us real life skills while regular entertainment is corrosive at times. It teaches you to get little vicarious, rewards for sitting idle while the person on TV gets a job that you don't have, or gets the girl, or scores a goal, or beats down the enemy. So video games make you decide if it is time to invade and from what direction. And if you botch it up, you lose. And so Gamers Online shared their real world benefits from playing video games. So the very first one that we got right here for you guys is totally agree with you about map reading skills. After playing thousands of hours of games like the original Zelda, Dragon Warrior, Final Fantasy, etc., the maps you build in my head. I mean, I can see the same trait in my kids. They're very directionally aware. Also, their reading skills are off the charts due to playing RPGs at a very young age. Have you felt the same experience, HenricK?
Oh, no, definitely. Okay, so disclaimer, I was in Boy Scouts growing up. So, we did learn how to read maps in that because it's an essential skill for camping. When you're trying to find your campsite, you definitely need to know what a map looks like and how to read it. But I think that, the majority of my map reading ability does definitely come from gaming because, every RPG, open world or not, most likely has a map of some sort, and you have to navigate it, even though it does help you. There's a little indicator usually on where you are in relation to everything else. And there's waypoints nowadays too, but you still you have to know where to go and be able to be like, oh, okay, that's the place I need to go to next. Let's put a waypoint there.
I can't even think
it's a valuable skill.
It definitely is. And there's an awesome video game. I'm probably butchering the name, but I will add it into the lower third on the edited version of the episode right here. But there's an amazing game called Tushy. It's on the PlayStation where you literally have to, there's a big old map and you never know exactly where you are on the island. And it will give you kind of this massive zone to kind of give you an idea of where you're at. So you have to really utilize your compass in hand. And then when you start to hit certain landmarks, it's kind of gives you an idea of where you might be on the map. So that's another example of amazing ways where you can learn something in video games. Also, there was another comment, which was Assassin's Creed, which I know HenricK was kind of clouding a little bit, but Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey opened my eyes to Greek and Egyptian history in an incredibly immersive way. Origins even has a feature where you can fly around Egypt with a voiceover explaining the real-life history of certain points of interest on the map. Truly amazing games if you are a mythology and or history buff. Also, you got someone wrote here, which I think is an excellent point. I mean, us in America, we take this for granted, but there is a lot of people in China, Japan, Thailand, you name it, or even in South America that learned English by playing Pokemon, which I think is so freaking cool that, you know, video games can provide that opportunity for people all across the globe. Also, Portal 2 got a shout out. You know, they said problem solving. So many people I know usually give up and look elsewhere for solutions to a problem. Gaming has taught me how to look a ton of different ways to solve something. Isn't patience a virtue, HenricK?
It really is.
I also know one person wrote with RuneScape. Oh my gosh, isn't this the truth? RuneScape taught me to trust no one. There are so many times in the early days, man, where I'd be starting to follow this guy and we're like maybe balling out for like a mission and a half, and then he does you dirty after like 3 or 4 hours of gameplay. Oh,
yeah, he's like, here, trade me this real quick, and then just logs out.
Exactly. I don't know about you, but I miss those days. And I think, you know, Rust is kind of bringing that same fun environment to all gamers currently in the new decade. Also, you know, Call of Duty or, you know, situational awareness. We are constantly worrying about the surroundings of our characters. So we do it to ourselves. Yeah. Cool.
You know what? I actually, when I was in theater, I actually used situational awareness skills that I had learned in Overwatch to be able to manage the space even with my eyes closed.
Oh, interesting.
Because, you know, in Overwatch, there's kind of, you know, a lot of shooters. You're kind of wanting to know where people are and kind of be able to judge, okay, they're coming out of their spawn probably right about now. And you don't have a line of sight to them. Same thing can apply to, like, if you're on stage and your eyes are closed, you don't know where people are, but you can kind of tell, you know, there's like certain ways you can tell, other than sound, but also just like feeling, okay, I think that they're going this way across me right now. And now they're going behind me. Interesting things for sure that can be applied to real life. That being one of them.
I bet playwrights and theater directors are loving you. Situational awareness. Maybe they might have to start utilizing that when they're working with their actors and actresses when it comes to blocking.
I'll have them sit down and play some Call of Duty for a little bit.
Yeah, you know, your situational awareness is horrible. Get inside that Warzone map right now and give me at least 4 kills or you ain't coming back on the theater stage. And also one person wrote, how to breathe through a panic attack. We will not do a spoiler for you, but there are amazing games like that that kind of teach you how to combat your panic attacks. And also, lastly, is Rockstar, which I love this comment because I'm a massive musician and I just wish more younger generations will, you know, pick up that guitar, pick up that bass, play the drums, play the violin, the cello, anything, play the keyboard. I think it's a massive immersive experience, and that's why I loved Guitar Hero as a kid, even though it's not like Rock Band, you know, where you can actually plug in a real guitar and actually strum along. But Rock Band would never be what they are today without Guitar Hero. And this person wrote, people scuff at games like Guitar Hero or Rock Band because, quote, lol, play a real instrument, end quote. But I ended up getting really good playing on the drums, which transitions to real life very well. I have an ear for rhythm and it translates me now to my DJ/producing. It's just really cool to see that, you know, there are definitely benefits to video games, and we definitely wanted to end it off on a high note because I don't know about you, you know, when your mom or your daddy or your sister and your auntie or your uncle starts complaining that you're playing video games today, just tell them, hey, I'm learning some real world benefits, you know, this afternoon.
You're playing Assassin's Creed and your parents come in and they're like, you're still playing that game? Yeah, I'm learning about Greece right now, actually.
Yeah, just turn on the voiceover and start flying over Egypt, right?
Exactly.
But hey, man, we got to thank all the gamers for tuning in live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, because Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show wouldn't be possible without your guys' support. And while you guys have made it through all the way to the tail end of the episode, make sure you hit the like or subscribe button so you never miss a live show. And HenricK, where can they go ahead and check out your content?
So I post content on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and I've been trying to get a little bit better at posting little bits here and there of just any kind of video. You know, I just recently started a series of smaller versions of game recommendations, as opposed to the long, 2.5 minute pause and repeat. Just a quick, here you go, here's the game, go ahead and try it. I enjoy it. Have fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blast, fam. You definitely want to go and support HenricK the Wreck on his YouTube channel, Twitch, and all kinds of different social media outlets. Do I really need to say it to you? You are the millennial, the Gen Z, the Gen A, after all. So figure it out, man. And also, just want to let you guys know, go to thechriscollinsshow.com. We got amazing content on there for you guys. We also have pages for the pause and repeat. So if you've missed previous segments before in the past, go to the website, holler at your boy. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. And again, thank you for joining Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. And we will see you next week, fam. Peace.
See ya.